and welcome to this video of my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm J.R.R. and today I'm going to be talking about The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, as well as its most recent film adaptations, meaning those of Peter Jackson. There is also an animated version out there, which I do have, from the late 70s, but I shan't be talking about that one in here. Anyways, the novel consists of 3 books: The Fellowship of the Rings, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. It serves as a sequel to The Hobbit, a story which I have already reviewed, and Lord of the Rings was written in between 1937 and 1949. Although, since the world Tolkien created is so vast, I'm not quite sure when did he first conceived the idea of this story. Anyways, before I begin, let me just say that this will be a review with mild spoilers. For as long as I can remember, I've been in love with the Lord of the Rings films. I was too young to see The Fellowship of the Ring in theaters, but I did see The Two Towers, and when it came out, I remember that same night I had a nightmare where I was supposed to be fighting at Helm's Deep. But yeah, at the beginning I didn't really get what was going on in these stories, but since I've always loved fantasy tales, Lord of the Rings instantly caught my attention, and as the years have gone by, something would happen to make me appreciate Tolkien's work more and more. Right now I've lost count of how many times I've seen Lord of the Rings, the extended edition. I know all the dialogues. I can draw a fairly accurate map of Middle-earth out of memory, and as a journalist and as an Anglophile and a writer, I am in love with Tolkien, with his life, his works, his time at Oxford, his commitment to detailed research, and I'm sure that with Lord of the Rings, everyone has his or her own personal memories of what it means to them. For me, it means spending my teenage years alongside my best friend, seeing the movies, the production diaries, finding the Easter eggs, and even pretending that we were Aragorn and Legolas and my dogs were our fellowship. And I even had a grey stray dog which was supposedly Gollum. So yes, Lord of the Rings is very special to me, but I don't claim to be a Tolkien Middle-earth expert, because I am not. In fact, I bought the novel in 2010, and it isn't until 7 years later that I actually read it front to cover. The Lord of the Rings is a story about good and evil. Good guys planning to defeat the bad guy. The latter is called Sauron. He's a dark lord who long ago created a magic ring. Without it, his power greatly diminishes, and for several reasons, at the start of the story, the villain finds himself without the ring. It has fallen into the possession of the Baggins family. Its members consist of Bilbo and Frodo. Bilbo is the protagonist of the Lord of the Rings prequel, The Hobbit, and Frodo is the protagonist of the Lord of the Rings. Anyways, Frodo ends up being the ring bearer. He has this task of going to the lands of the enemy so that he can destroy the ring of power there. And along the way, Frodo meets a lot of friends and enemies, whether they be hobbits, men, dwarves, elves, wizards, and they all have their own storylines. And so The Lord of the Rings is a story of a journey to defeat evil. I'll begin by talking about the novel, but seriously, how can one review Lord of the Rings? It's so hard to do justice to such a rich and meaningful work of art. Of course I give it a 5 out of 5 stars review, but I guess this is just a story that's special in a different way for everyone, and just trying to put the emotions I felt while reading it, it's difficult. I love fantasy stories, whether it's The Last Unicorn or Game of Thrones or The Never-Ending Story, but in a way, I don't know if it's because of the amount of research or world building, but I feel that Lord of the Rings is like the most superior one of them. Not that I want to compare them, because it's not perfect. At least for me, it was really difficult to read. I had a hard time getting to the end. I know this sounds like heresy, but at times I thought it was a bit boring. For the life of me, I can't ever focus on the chapter where Frodo and the other hobbits are at the Barrow Downs. And it's not even my favorite fantasy story out there. That's The Once and Future King by T.H. White about King Arthur. But yeah, it's not fair to compare Lord of the Rings to other stories, since it's special in its own way and its pages are with a magic and an innocence in Tolkien's writing it's hard to find somewhere else. And I like to think that no matter how many times I see the movie adaptations, there will always be something more to learn from Tolkien's world in his books, whether it's history in the form of other ages of Middle-earth, or in the languages that he came up with, or how there's not really an open religion that the characters follow. I admire the way that he managed to accomplish that so much. I just like to read anything concerning hobbits and their friends. Even staring at different book covers for Lord of the Rings or staring at illustrations for the story just brings a smile to my face. Still, if I could have it my way, I don't know, I guess that I would have liked to have Tolkien describe the characters thoughts and emotions in more detail, because I would like to see at some point the motivations behind those characters' actions. I think I can get a pretty accurate idea the way that it's written, and the movies help, but to actually be in their shoes, to have it written by points of view, it would have been really interesting as well. It would have made them, at least that's my opinion, a bit more grey rather than just good fighting evil. I would have felt even a deeper connection with the characters if they'd been described a bit more grey. But anyways, moving on to the films. I really love them, and I guess that if I was more of a Tolkien expert, I would find more flaws to them, but as I stand, I just find them perfect. Even if they made changes, I am not bothered by them. The cast, the costumes, the landscapes, the scripts, everything is overwhelmingly beautiful, and I really get the feeling watching all the behind the scenes stuff that the people behind these movies really care for Tolkien's works. And I also thought that they made the development and growth of certain characters really well, and in the end, these films just have a really special place in my heart because it was through them that I came to know about Tolkien and his books, and I just love that in the films they extend the Aragorn and Arwen storyline. Well, for the moment, this is all I have to say about Lord of the Rings. I know it wasn't a deeply detailed review about these stories, but I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know if you did, and if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said here. In the description box below you can find a link to Tolkien's Goodreads page, as well as a link to the IMDB page for the first film of the most recent trilogy adaptations, and you can also find a link to my review of The Hobbit. Without further ado, I believe this is a moment where I say goodbye. Thank you once again. I'm J.R.R, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world. Farewell!